I really appreciate it. As Ron said, my name's Craig Sisson with BMC Helix. Yeah, thanks for the intro there, Ron and Raj. Great presentation, and I love playing around with all of that stuff, trying to figure out how does it fit into what I want to do, whether it's marketing or not. Ron's giving me the opportunity to really talk about balancing innovation and compliance, particularly in this age of digital disruption. As a strategic field CTO at BMC Helix, I get the chance to talk to a lot of customers about their strategies and what they're going on. We're going to share some of that today. Prior to coming to BMC Helix about 13 years ago, that's how long I've been here. I actually spent 17 years in corporate IT. And I was just talking with another customer yesterday at dinner to think about just how quickly over the last 30 years things are accelerating on their expectation to drive value. Certainly not like it was when ITIL was coming into play and people had slow adoptions, or DevOps transformations where people made up their own version of what they wanted to do. Getting into virtual and cloud transformations that may have taken 3 to 4 versions. Now, the expectation right now is that generative AI or agentic AI is here, and every CIO and CEO that we're talking to expects it yesterday. And so that certainly brings some challenge when the innovation is needed and necessary, and you still have to maintain and manage the compliance standards that your organizations are working through. Let's skip through this here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the innovation, make sure I introduce what BMC Helix does today in the market space, particularly around service and operations. We're going to talk about how we're helping customers fast track some of the AI-driven innovation in this space, share some examples of some success that we've had, the challenges and the successes that we've had with customers, and then maybe give you a couple of things to think about for avoiding when making some of these decisions. As I just mentioned, prior to coming to the dark side from a selling software perspective, I lived in corporate IT for 17 years, and buying software is hard at the enterprise level. It certainly can sometimes lead to making a decision to do nothing. We're seeing that more and more as people are really putting their careers on the line when they're making a choice of who to partner with. And that is really the conversation that we're seeing people be challenged with when it comes to AI. Not who their AI partners are, but how do they interact with other partners that in software providers that really need to help them drive and make decisions at the end of the day. I think the age-old facet of the fact that things are not getting simpler, things are not slowing down, and we don't have a limited budget is certainly continuing to balloon. Now, on top of that, in this decision-making process, you've got to make some type of generative and agentic decision that's expected to be made. That everyone's really driving towards, and that's putting a ton of pressure on really what every customer we're talking to is going through. And again, as I said, sometimes that's freezing their decisions because they're just not quite sure where to go or how to get there and how to do it. I did not present this slide to talk to you about the history of AI at BMC Helix, but certainly we could have that conversation at any point in time. The reality is as I mentioned in a quick intro, the expectation is that you're implementing it, and if you're not implementing it this month, why haven't you started implementing Gentex into as many processes as you can, and how can you get it faster? And there's certainly some cultural implications to how you're going to do that, train and enable and prompt, which is getting easier and better, but also just settling into how you're going to measure the success and the value of what you're bringing. This is I wish every customer would come to the table and talk in terms of being able to get that value and get a lot of value from it. But those challenges, like I said, you're in many cases putting your reputation on the line to make potential statements like this. But most people I'm talking to, their leadership's not giving them an an expectation of not doing it. It's really in time of when and how much are we going to save. And that's the conversation that we're helping customers really understand. How can they transform and should they be looking at? For those of you who aren't familiar with BMC Helix, we sit in the service and operations management space. Our sister company, which we just spun off of back in April, we are 6 months into a new organization and about a third of the size of BMC. That particular organization kept our mainframe operations and our workload automation solutions, very different markets, very different spaces than what we were seeing in service ops from a transformation perspective and from an expectations around how AI was going to change that market. So we sit as an organization very much focused on a modern platform that helps customers with the employee engagement from an intake perspective, from a service management perspective, from an AI ops perspective, and then of course helping manage the SecOps and compliance aspects of that. The Helix platform itself is a platform of action in the space of service and operations management. In fact, we are the most modern enterprise service and operations management platform in the market today. Even though we've been in the market for about 25 years, because of the way that we've re-architectured, we didn't just rebrand from our previous brand Remedy, but we re-architected the underlying infrastructure of them. We brought our solutions into a microservices container-based solution that can either be SaaS or on-prem to help drive the important actions of self-service, to help drive and manage incidents and respond to them appropriately, to help observe and optimize, and also do any remediation from a SecOps and compliance perspective and understand what sits in your infrastructure. That's really the core of where we sit today. And we're driving off of a lot of use cases that are familiar to everyone, and really understanding what that means. The benefits are pretty clear and simple to what we're really helping customers do. And AI has really just accelerated the ability and increased the ability of those capabilities of those benefits to really drive that customer value. We want to make sure that your workforce has what they need to do the jobs that they have so they can maximize at their full potential. We don't want outages to impact them. We want them to have the tools that they need. We want them to have the equipment that they need. We want your service management teams to be able to solve those problems and not just go through a bunch of screens and chase them down. And agentic AI is certainly helping change that. We want your monitoring and your observability teams to be able to take action and not just bring data together and organize it differently, but to take action as fast as possible. And we want to make sure you're doing all of this from a secure and compliant perspective as well. And so that's what BMC Helix is doing today in the market. And overall, we're seeing customers approach this in a couple of different ways. In order to really bring agentics into this, the challenge that we're seeing customers is that many of them have very siloed tooling systems, knowledge, ticketing, business applications, observability tools, cloud platforms, et cetera. And I think we can all agree, at least 95% of us can agree, that Gen AI is most valuable when it has that foundational trained data. And that data doesn't exist except in these siloed tools, which is how many of our organizations have to purchase some of the best of breed tools. I think the other approach to that, which I don't believe is really any better, is a monolithic approach where everything sits within one platform. Now you've got vendor lock-in, you've got all kinds of challenges migrating, even ripping tools away from people that love the tools that they have. So that approach really from an agentics perspective is going to be a tough one to play. So the strategy that BMC Helix has taken has really been to focus back into the actions that customers are taking between service and operations management and keep it an open first strategy so that you can take the best of breed tools that your different parts of your organization are using, but also be able to apply a lot of the agentic components that come into that overall. And when we're talking about agentics, what we're looking at doing is not putting out hundreds of agents all over the place from a functional perspective. We're looking at agents working alongside and being able to take action and reason within a particular role. So if you're a knowledge curator, it's going to be very focused on being able to generate knowledge. If you're navigating the different aspects as an employee, how do you get to those things faster, and how can an agent help you get that information faster? So we're adding skills, particularly skills that are driven and able to reason and take action. Now, like most providers or vendors, software vendors, we're continuing to evolve the capabilities on these tools. So our agents, as we first introduce them, are often human in the line and are really more responsive. And as we continue to progress each of these agents, we're able to put more of that action aspect into it. We came out with the agentic components late last year, as most of our partners did, and many of that was a human in the line focus, and we're already well into the conversations of that human on the line, the reasoning aspect of these. 90% of the agents that you see on here are live as of tomorrow, I think. And so we're not just talking about a strategy for that, we're actually delivering on that strategy. One of the things that we talk to a lot of our customers about is we're the only open first agentic AI platform on the market. And when I say open first, what I mean by that is we're giving customers a choice of deployment. So you can choose if you're in a highly regulated environment and have, we've got a number of utility companies, oil and gas companies, a ton in the federal and public sector space that need a very confined way to deploy it. You can take the same code base that we're running as a SaaS solution. You can also put that on-prem. You can put that in your private cloud environments. And we give you that openness to be able to move that, maybe even do that in the future as your business requirements change overall. The other big aspect about how we're approaching an open first agentic strategy is we're not creating our own AI. We are partnering and letting you take the investments that you've made with Google's and the AWS's and the Oracles and others, and making sure that those TKUs and those LLMs that you're investing in, that you're securing, we're leveraging them to drive it. And that's helping a lot of customers get over some of the compliance aspects of giving data to another system, and even potentially training other AI with your intellectual property. It's been a big challenge from a compliance and a security perspective. And so we're partnering with your strategy instead of having you change and shift that strategy, and potentially even double pay off of that strategy. Where you've already made huge investments with Google and are already heading down those paths. That really certainly also plays into what Raj was talking about the ability to integrate, whether it's agent to agent, whether you're leveraging a very strong MCP strategy, because of the way that we've infrastructure and architected and frankly invested in that, we're not shifting your strategy when it comes to service and operations management. We're able to partner with you. And the other last aspect of the open first strategy that we think is important is that nobody wants to go to a portal and find something anymore. They want to stay in Teams or Google Chat or Skype or whatever interface your organization's already investing in. And we want to be able to let those agents work through that aspect. So if you're an employee and you want to find out how to get a new monitor, a new screen, you need a new kit, whatever you may need, that ability comes to you within whatever means you have. Not just a portal, which is always available, but also the ability to do that through Teams and through the other portals, and still interacting with that underlying fundamental data that's important to deliver service and operations management. And again, this is really helping customers take advantage of the strategic investments that they've made already through all of these open choices, instead of making you choose what we would need you to have. So hopefully that's a quick understanding of where we are seeing a differentiation in the market today. I'm going to put up a number of different success strategies we have. This slide really to speak to where most of our customers are looking at gaining value from a service and operations management perspective. Ericsson is looking to achieve 50% greater productivity, not only with the agentic components that BMC Helix can offer, but also just with the platform overall. BBVA, right? So it's either productivity. BBVA is looking to drive, it was able to achieve 100% compliance from an asset management perspective. DNV was focused on providing better service 24/7 and to be able to automate that. And Vodafone was looking to decrease the amount of issues that they were having. These are the general areas of value from a cost and risk reduction perspective that BMC Helix is working with customers in the service and operations space to really help define. I want to use another example and really talk about Belfor Betty, who is a construction company, large construction company, 26,000 plus employees globally, that was really having challenges with some legacy processes and legacy systems, even multiple systems from a service management perspective that they were challenged with getting that customer experience they had, being able to measure and retain what they needed, and being able to get their employees what they needed so that they could get to work and really maximize the value of that. So they came and asked BMC Helix for help in doing that. And as we put them onto the Helix platform, they did an amazing job by being able to reduce the incident resolution time by 61%. So they're able to fix those problems faster. They're able to get the requests out the door even quicker. And they're able to drive automation from an onboarding perspective, which everybody wants to be able to get people up to speed faster from an automation perspective. And Agentics was really a key component of being able to help them make the decision of when will they be ready to turn on the agentic strategies. I believe they are in the process of going live with the foundational data that they have to really get the value out of Agentics and to get field workers engaged with the system, as opposed to having to find access from a laptop perspective or to go back to the office to really resolve those issues overall. So continue to love partnering with Belfor Betty, and their strategy is they're picking up and adopting more and more from an agentic perspective. And I don't think any use case is more valuable to our customers, at least, than having BMC Helix eat its own dog food. So as a SaaS provider for many of our customers on the Helix platform, I mentioned before we're the most modern service ops platform in the market today because of the infrastructure that we put in place and the re-architecture we put in place 4 years ago. We had to start to look at monitoring from a completely different perspective because of the way that the infrastructure changes. And we leaned into and learned from our own software to do that. So our BMC Helix NOC is run off of our own AIOps solution. And we've been able to really drive significant efficiencies, leveraging the data that's coming in and the reasoning that comes in from the dashboard aspects that we can see. We're able to save a significant amount of money for us, which translates into savings for you guys as well. But ultimately, what our BMC Helix NOC is doing is really reducing the time to resolve any issues by using generative AI, by using causal AI aspects within the Helix platform, and leveraging agents to begin to take that automation and action off of that. And I expect to continue to see more value out of this as we kind of become customer zero for a lot of these products to be able to test them out and to validate what they're doing. Ron, how am I doing on time? I got one slide.
Need to finish up right now. This is great, 20 minutes.
Okay. So I think I've talked through these, so I'll just summarize this. Again, this is my last slide, Ron. right? Where we're seeing customers challenge the most and kind of avoiding potential issues isn't in what an agent does or what an agent doesn't do for a customer. But we truly believe that agents are going to be commoditized over time because we're moving so quickly to be able to develop this from an underlying data perspective. What we're encouraging customers to do is make sure you're not just looking at the cost of what your agentic approach for service and operations management is for your first use case, but to make sure that you're looking at that broader cost of what your desired state down the road may be, so that you can enter that transformation eyes wide open. Again, the second component of it is we're encouraging our customers not to buy at an agent level, but to look at the overall platform and strategy, because we're expecting the agentic capabilities to really be commoditized over time. So because we can create them quick, but also we've got agent builder capabilities that are able to build and take action and reason as well. And finally, watch out for how people are approaching that. I talked about BMC Helix's open first strategy. Some of our top competitors are investing in building their own AI, which is expensive to you at the end of the day, as opposed to really leveraging the strategy that your organization has in place. So make sure you're navigating that market to understand, if they're going to switch and change strategies and say they can do some things that appear to be open, that the vendors themselves are going to pass some of those costs onto you because of the investment. BMC Helix didn't go out and buy a partner with Novodyne. We didn't buy an AI solution to continue to invest in. We're not passing that on to you. At the end of the day, we're taking your strategy and partnering with you to make sure that we can manage and get better access from a data perspective.